surprise in the Aaron Hernandez trial, the defense admitting that Hernandez was there when Odin Lloyd was killed and actually witnessed the murder. Jim Smith is in Fall River with a closer look at the closing arguments.
Lisa, the jury in this case has actually now begun its work. They actually deliberated today for about an hour, but before that, they heard some closing arguments that did include that surprising admission by the defense. The fiancé of Aaron Hernandez leaving the courthouse after day one of deliberations. Minutes later, the family of murder victim Odin Lloyd also heading home.
To prove the defendant guilty.
Most of the day was taken up by closing arguments. The defense with a stunning admission that their client was in fact at the scene when Lloyd was shot to death, but as a witness, not a killer.
He was a 23-year-old kid who had witnessed something. A shocking killing. Committed by somebody he knew.
The defense urged the jury to focus instead on co-defendants Ernest Wallace and Carlos Ortiz, implying someone else pulled the trigger. The prosecution painted a picture of Hernandez as a man with a quick temper who would react violently to any perceived slight.
What causes somebody to go arm themselves? What small thing in the evidence? The look? Being disrespected?
Hernandez stared straight ahead during most of the arguments, but it was too much for some of Odin Lloyd's relatives. In the end, the experts say this case comes down to the joint venture theory, Hernandez being proven guilty without necessarily having to prove he fired the shot.
If the jury gets it, there's a very reasonable possibility, maybe a likelihood, they'll convict. If they get confused in here, or if they got diverted in the sideshows with respect to, do I need a motive? Do I have to have a shooter? Where's the gun? You may have a hung jury.
So just to set the stage, tomorrow, the first complete full day of deliberations. This jury has a lot to consider. There have been well over 100 witnesses and hundreds of exhibits for them to go over. Live at the courthouse in Fall River, Jim Smith, WBZ News. Lisa?
Thank you, Jim. Jurors in the Hernandez case can reach one of three possible verdicts: not guilty, guilty of first-degree murder, or guilty of second-degree murder. Now, the difference between first and second-degree murder: premeditation and the penalty. First-degree murder carries a sentence of life without parole. Second-degree murder carries a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 15 years. As soon as the jury